Are you sick of living in the shadow of someone else? Need some help learning to love yourself and tap into your unique strengths, or embrace your leadership potential so you can thrive in your life. This is Empower with Nancy. Let's start the show. Oh.
Climbing out of rock bottom. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Empower with Nancy. If you're new here, welcome. I hope you find this episode really inspiring and valuable to you. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss out on my weekly episodes packed with insight, encouragement, and empowerment. So today I want to really have a heart-to-heart conversation with you, whoever is listening. Please have an open mind, listen and embody it. And just, I hope that this really motivates and helps you in one way, shape, or form. That is my mission. So this isn't about the surface level of motivation and being positive and maybe even pretending that everything is fine and dandy, right? Most of us try to put on this face or this act as though everything is great. This is about really being real. And I am going to share some really deep information here on my episode, because it's all about being honest, real, organic. And I am who I am, and I don't portray anybody that I'm not. Because if you're listening to this right now, maybe you're in a place where life just feels like it is just beating the shit out of you. Maybe hit rock bottom, one way, shape, or form. Maybe previously, maybe today. Maybe you're even feeling that you're going to, because, I'm a big believer of thoughts become things. If you constantly focus on the positive, you receive positive. It's the negative, you're going to receive the negative. But hitting the rock bottom, guys, I've been there. I've had moments in my life where I felt like everything I worked so damn hard to build was crumbling down. I worked in corporate America for 35 years. I worked my way up, all the way up to the highest level I could be in corporate America, which was a COO. Moments where I even sometimes question myself. Could I even get back up from hitting rock bottom? Let me share something personal with you. When I started Empowerment Pathways, it wasn't from a place of abundance or ease. It came from a place of pain. There was times in my career when I felt stuck in a toxic environment surrounding my reactionary leadership that I was working next to. Everything was reactionary. And that really drained my energy and sucked the life out of me. But I kept moving forward because I felt that if I gave up, it was a sign of weakness. I sometimes questioned my worth because the environment made me feel small, regardless of how damn hard I worked. And I knew deep down inside that I wasn't going to give up, that I was going to keep going. But I felt that I wanted to keep going, but I just didn't know how, where to start, who can help me, who was in the same circles as I was. Can I trust people? If I went to somebody and got advice, can I trust their advice? Do I resonate with them? Do I feel like the energy sometimes, when you run into somebody that you've never met, and sometimes you feel that energy, it's either going to be good energy or bad energy, or maybe just an in-between. So I'm going to really, really, really real here. It wasn't just about work, guys. It was like life outside of the office wasn't easy either. There were moments in even my marriage where I felt that the weight of miscommunication was distance. I felt like coming home from work, talking about my bad day or challenging day. And we just didn't see eye to eye. It was like one-sided. Oh, you got to do it this way. You got to do it that way. Don't let people walk all over you. That's a sign of weakness, all that great stuff. And by all means, I love my husband and we've been together for 36 years and we have a phenomenal relationship. But we all go through challenges. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that we never had our ups and downs. Of course we have. So at some point, it felt like the foundation of everything that I built was shaky. And I was wondering, is this where it all falls apart and ends? And it's those limiting beliefs, the fear, the anger, the resentment, the disappointment, the trust, everything. That's all I was thinking about. How the hell am I going to get out of this? And then there was that time when I felt I was failing the people that I cared about most. So whether it was my kids, because I worked so hard and so long hours and never stopped. And I didn't realize I was hurting my kids doing it. They never came to me. They knew mom was providing and doing everything I possibly could. And don't get me wrong. Of course, I was there for my kids, but there was times where it's like, can you stop working? Just listen. How about maybe play with me or go to my baseball games more often or practices more often or plays. I missed some plays. I missed some softball games with my daughter and baseball games with my son and football. Not that I missed a ton of them, but just missing one was too many. So I felt so stretched thin that I started losing sight of myself. Even my dad would say, honey, you're working too hard. You're working too hard. You're going to burn yourself out. He was so worried about me. We had it all because my husband and I worked extremely hard and didn't ask for anything from anybody until one time in our lives as we were growing stronger and stronger together. This is where it really came crumbling down. My husband was involved in a really bad motorcycle accident and he almost lost his leg, had 9 surgeries. And I had a very, very successful consulting business that was doing great savings. We were on the top of the mountain until I received a phone call from my husband that he had gotten in a motorcycle accident. And he said, I think I broke my leg and I think my bone came out of my leg. And do you think I need to call the ambulance? And so I couldn't get to the hospital fast enough. And during all of this, it was very, very difficult. My husband, thank God, didn't lose his job, but he couldn't work. So he's on disability. I had to take care of him. He couldn't walk. He was crawling everywhere. We had to go through therapy. He had a PICC line in his arm that I had to change every 2 hours and just help him. It was like taking care of a baby. But I didn't give up with that either. I was by his side no matter what. It got to the point where even though we had medical insurance, but it only so much paid, the insurance only paid a certain amount. We drained all of our savings, 401k, and we almost lost our home. I tried to work with our mortgage lender multiple times by submitting a loan modification application and was denied 9 times. But I didn't give up. I knew in my heart that everything was going to be okay and I'm going to make this work. I was determined. I pushed and went all the way up to the office of the president of the bank. It was my last chance. And I explained to them situation, everything. We weren't getting much money in at all, not even enough to make my mortgage or car payments or sometimes even put food on the table. I pushed our application and I submitted my 10th application and it got approved. And it was like, there's light at the end of the tunnel, that when challenges come, that knowing that you got to keep pushing through. I share this with you because I want you to understand that hitting rock bottom doesn't mean you're broken. It means that you've hit a place where the old ways aren't working anymore. And as painful as it is, it's also an invitation to help rebuild your life, open a new chapter of your life. Own where you are today. When I was in the middle of these hard seasons of my life, I had to stop pretending everything was okay. I had to admit to myself that sometimes to others that it wasn't okay. The hardest moment for me was when I looked at my reflection and admitted, and I don't have the answers right now, that I had to be humble, but it was okay. You don't have to have all the answers right then and there. You don't have to fix everything all at once. Just acknowledge where you are today. That's the starting point. Find small things to build on for yourself. When I opened Empowerment Pathways, it was just an idea. It felt impossible. I said, there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to open my own business. How am I going to do it? I work in corporate America. I'm a mom. I mean, I just overwhelmed. But it was kind of weird. It's like I was overwhelmed, but I wasn't extremely exhausted. Like I just kept going. I think I just felt numb over time. And so to become a life coach, I got a certificate, went to school. I started in corporate America, working and running multi-billion-dollar companies. How could I help others when I felt so depleted at times? But I decided to take one step at a time. And this is what I always tell my clients, take one step at a time. Let's work on things 30, 60, 90, not 6 months, not a year. Don't focus on the outcome. I focus on helping one person, just one, and that step grew into the second and third and fourth and fifth. I mean, I can keep going on and on and on. And now it's a company with a mission that sets my soul on fire. So what does that one step today look like for you? Maybe it's calling someone who cares about you. Or how about maybe it's going for a walk and just thinking for yourself to help figure out what is it that truly lights your fire, that your passion. Maybe it's journaling everything that you're holding on to. Journaling is extremely important, and that is one of the things, the most important things that I teach in my program. Don't worry about the big picture. Just focus on one step at a time. And try to refrain from the pain. I had to refrain from the moments when everything felt like it was falling apart. When I was dealing with a reactionary leadership team, I started to ask myself, what is this teaching me about the kind of leader I want to be? And I learned that years ago, not to be reactionary and emotionally. This is not just happening over, the last few years. This was years and years ago. That is where I'm at today. When my marriage felt fragile from time, I asked what part of me needs to heal so that I could show up differently in this relationship today. What type of person do I need to be today to make the marriage that I want to have? I wasn't focusing on it had to be him. Yeah, it takes two to tango, but those questions to myself wasn't easy, and the answers weren't always pretty, but they were necessary for me. What if your pain is trying to teach you something? What if this rock bottom moment is really carving out a space for a better version of you? What does that feel like? What does that look like for you? How do you feel about being the best version of yourself? How do you build a new foundation for you? One of the hardest decisions that I made was leaving the environments and habits that weren't serving me at all. The habits, the people, the situations. It wasn't easy, but I put everyone in front of myself all the time. Maybe it meant for me to really step into the uncertainty, into the unknown, but I knew I couldn't create something new if I kept climbing to what wasn't working for me. If I kept thinking about, I'm going to fail, this is going to happen again, how am I going to get through it? People are going to look at me differently. I need to suck it up and not say anything. You know, this is what plays in most of our heads. So Empowerment Pathways wasn't just about building a business. It was about building a life that I absolutely loved. And to this day, it is the most inspiring feeling, waking up and feeling empowered and fulfilled. Not focusing and worry about where am I going to get my next client? How am I going to get my next client? How am I going to be able to build the most successful business? I don't focus on that. I start focusing on what matters most, and that is my family, my health, and my vision for helping others, but putting God first. That's when I decided to build a life and business coach business. And at Empowerment Pathways, we specialize in helping individuals and teams really break through challenges to find clarity and achieve their fullest potential and start a new chapter of their lives. So whether you're navigating personal growth, leadership struggles, trying to run a business, trying to start a business, or building a thriving business, we provide the tools, strategies, and support to guide you every step of the way, one step at a time. What do you need to let go today, right now? And what do you need to build for yourself? Remember, rock bottom is temporary. I know it feels like this moment will really last forever when we hit the rock bottom, because I felt that, but it won't. When I was struggling, I told myself, this is just a chapter, not the whole book. That belief kept me going. It was temporary, not long-term, not permanent. The truth is, you are more resilient than you think. You deserve 100% of your worst days so far. You survived through it, right? You went through and you survived through it. And you're going to continue to survive moving forward. Let's lean into your whole purpose. Just even putting this podcast together, thinking about what am I going to say? How am I going to position myself for everyone to understand? The moments when I felt the most lost and stuck and didn't know the direction of where I was going to go and how I was going to get out of it were the moments that I reminded me of a more deeper purpose of my life. I started Empowerment Pathways because I wanted to help others find their power again. Stop living in the shadow of someone else's dreams. When I felt overwhelmed, and I'm here to tell you that you have the purpose. You all have purpose. Even if it's buried under the pain right now, that purpose is still there. I want to say that the journey out of the rock bottom is easy. It's not as if you focus that you can't get out of it. It's sometimes messy and very painful and full of moments where you might want to just throw your hands up and give up. But I promise you this, you are capable of so much more than you really realize. You have to believe that. You've got this. Even if it doesn't feel like that right now, take it one day, one moment, one step at a time. And if no one's told you today, I will tell you this, that I am proud of you for fighting through this. I am proud of you for listening to this episode all the way to the end. Because if you are, then that shows me and shows yourself that you want to make a difference in your life. So whether it be empowerment pathways to help you get through your challenges in your life or seeking out help elsewhere, always remember, rock bottom isn't the end. It's where your greatest transformation starts. Remember, you have control of the will. You can do this. With gratitude, Nancy. Thank you for listening to my podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a rating and review, and share it with a friend. To connect with me and get all the behind the scenes content, you can follow me on Instagram at EmpowerWithNancy and visit my website, empowerwithnancy.com, to learn more about how coaching with me can significantly enhance your life and business. Thank you for listening and have a wonderful day. See you next time.